The theme across our shows this week focuses on innovation in education, and boy, don't we just need it. The World Economic Forum ranks South Africa 140th out of 144 countries that were surveyed on our quality of education. Godwin Khosa, Chief Executive of the National Education Collaboration Trust, joins us for more. Godwin, it's a wonderful initiative that you guys are busy with. Godwin Khosa involved there, Trevor Manuel, also part of the founding fathers, if you like, with Bobby Godsell. What concerns one, though, is that the numbers that we're getting from places like the WEF make it an almost insurmountable obstacle. What gets you up in the morning?
Well, you know, those challenges have to be faced head on. So what we see in the form of the comparative figures, it's an indication of where we are, and in fact it defines the challenge. But the challenge has to be taken head on, and I think we shouldn't waste time.
But how can we be so far? How can we have gone so far down? If you think of all the countries who were surveyed there, and I don't want to start dissing this one or that one, but my goodness, there are countries who are a fraction of the size of this country's resources, and yet they have a better education system than us.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if we went into the postmortem, you know, it's quite, you know, huge dynamics, and there's different views and so on. We've done a lot of that in the past, you know,
well,
10, 15
NDP
years.
shows it, doesn't it?
Yeah, it shows it. I mean, summarizes it, you know. But the problems are deep, and they're long term. We've got to start working on the solutions. Some of the problems go to the definition of, you know, education by we as the people of South Africa. You know, the value that we attach to education, the level of professionalism in the classrooms, and how we encourage that. But I want to say we've got to be very practical, and we shouldn't waste time, you know, dilly-dallying and spending a lot of effort still digging into
Pointing
things that we
fingers.
know.
So how are we going to fix it?
Well,
you have this ability now. You have an organization with lots of support. How are you going to make a difference?
Well, we've spent a lot of time programming the interventions. So practically, I mean, we are in 8 districts, and in those 8 districts, we've brought everybody concerned, the district officials who've got to support and monitor schools differently going forward, the community who's got to come and support, you know, education in a different way. But you know, and I think it's the best way to go about it, because going into education, making investments into one input, let's say teacher development. If you had some investment and you were going to make in a school, just in teacher development, will not cut it.
But we need some quick wins. We need quick wins somehow.
Yeah.
You know, it's great, the strategy that you've got, and in 50 years' time, we're going to celebrate it. But aren't there some quick win opportunities?
Well,
give every kid an iPad, for instance. I know that's radical, but I'm just throwing those kind of thoughts, which you must have been mulling over.
Yeah, I mean, I get so humbled when I get to the schools, because the situation in schools is completely different from what we often talk about in big cities. You know, there are some basic needs in schools. I've just walked in a school in the Eastern Cape in the past 2 days. This school was a combined school for the many years. I mean, combined schools mean it combines both primary and secondary schools, and then it gets dealt with the system differently. It doesn't benefit entirely from how the system is organized. Our people are working in that school, and one of the first things they had to help is the reorganization of this school. Move the grade 8 and grade 9 to a high school where it belongs, where the system kept, you know, provides for it. Remain with an intake primary school that they can start, you know, assisting as per the design of the education system. So there's some of this. Then you can get into the teacher development. You can bring in desks. You can make sure that that wall that is crooked, that's risking falling on the kids, it's fixed. So those are some of the quick wins. Reorganization is quick, you know. Fixing the window panes is quick. Making sure that the books are in the classroom, it's quick. But the actual, you know, improvement of the pass rates is going to take us a couple of years. But it's based on these inputs that we are making.
And incentives. If we could incentivize the whole country properly, to
Yes.
focus on it. But Godwin, you know, I'm a fan. I think we're all fans here at CNBC of the work that you're doing, and more strength to your efforts. We'll be following them, continue to follow them very closely. That was Godwin Khosa, CEO of the National Education Collaboration Trust, which is an example of one organisation, major organisation, that is doing something to address this awful position that we're sitting at in a global perspective.